Conrad TV, no hearsay, hey, hey. It's Conrad TV, no hearsay, hey, hey. It's Conrad TV, no hearsay, hey, hey. It's Conrad TV, no hearsay, hey, hey. Hey, 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 hey. One thing is certain, it's gonna be crazy, yo.
Conversational radio TV, just different.
Hey, hey.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're back again. It's the second hour of the show, right here on Conversational Radio TV. Hagetsa Mike le mongwe kalebiso ke nna mosimano wa mokwena wa modimo sana nonyana ba re ke se hume thato molamu mosimano wa golla kwana go bokoni bophirima ke tsama le mosimano o goletseng fela ko Mamelodi and no other place than Mamelodi, but he had a simple gabone mosimano yona o goletseng go Gardens ko Mamelodi. His name is Misho Khala, ladies and gentlemen. He's a young attorney himself. He just made director. Yes, man, this boy man is doing amazing things that make the things to make the past to happen. Man. But because, it's Youth Month, and we like to talk to people that are doing great things to inspire more young people, not to make excuses about the opportunities that are there. You should be able to grab opportunities if they are right in front of your face. His name, ladies and gentlemen, Master Tumelo Shaka, how you doing, my brother?
Good on you, Master.
Can I tell you what Tiro and I refer to you as?
Tell me.
Tuck shop executive.
That's the one.
Yeah, tuck shop executive.
That's the one.
Tuck shop executive.
Let me tell you, bro. My dad owns a tuck shop. And when I was younger, before going to college, I thought, you know what, I'm going to be a tuck shop executive. So because I want to one day be an accountant, so I'm going to do his books, do his stock count, and therefore my name is Tuck Shop Executive.
That's a dumb
It's been that through high school,
really,
through varsity. Even my title on my email on my first company was Tuck Shop Executive.
Tuck Shop Executive.
I actually thought it was a way to almost, successful people like you have a tendency to downplay, like, it's that humility, man. Where you like downplay your success, and you're like, no, I'm calling myself Tuck Shop Executive, but then while we're still on that, please tell the people, like these people joke, they're waiting to hear from you. What exactly is Mr. Chaka and what?
Who is he? Where are you from? And why? And you briefly explained that tuck shop executive. Your dad owned a tuck shop, and that's how you developed that title. Who's Mr. Chaka?
First of all, I like to always define my name. When I popped up 4th of March, 19-something down the line of the 80s, I was named Tumelo. Yes. And Tumelo is faith. And my name is the embodiment of things hoped for, the substance of things not seen. And that's how I've lived my life, is that I embody myself in things that are hoped for. I am that visionary that will make things happen, even though others cannot see them now. And I will unpack why. I say, when I see things, others don't see it. But in future, things happen. I still remember in 2003, I said to my friend, I want to be a marketer who brands political parties.
Yes, sir.
I want to be a guy who brands people. There's branding of companies, but can't we brand people?
Yeah.
And some guy thought I was mad. I remember I called up one of the biggest brand people in South Africa to say, can you please mentor me? And then the first thing he asked me is, what do you want to do? I said, I want to learn how to brand people and brand political parties. And today, the same person, he's branding political leaders in the country, in Africa. So my name always says I see things that have not yet happened, and I've seen it happening through my life. I grew up in Kwatwa, great place, raised by great parents, both entrepreneurs. Took me to school to Bloemfontein, where I got to, for the first time, got to experience the black-white situation of life of the country, but managed to survive through it. I thought I was done. Went to University of the Free State just to get extra nyan. Just to get extra nyan.
Yeah.
So I went to UOFS there. Also, great time. SRC, 100 years. I think even in my year, I was the youngest SRC member the varsity has ever had.
That's historic.
So you kind of break boundaries, and I've always wanted to be in business, to make impact in corporate. I find myself in the center of Sentin, where we try to make a difference every single day.
Before we get to the truly, truly serious stuff, and this is a very serious thing.
Sure.
I remember when we had that meeting.
Yeah.
Eli Yama.
Yeah.
The why? Sure.
You rocked up, just like this.
Yeah.
Hoodie. A hoodie, a very colorful hoodie, sporty, and you are an executive, a bank executive. Apart from everything else that you've done. I mean, if anybody Googles you, they can see everything that you've done. And you mentioned something very important when you said, look, I'm trying to make the people who've been in this space uncomfortable. And let me not sugarcoat it. For all intents and purposes, it was the people who've been in the space are not people who look like us. So it was a matter of making them uncomfortable and bringing in a culture where, as a black man who follows you, can feel comfortable with wearing a sporty or wearing, you know what I mean? So basically, essentially, what I'm speaking to is your corporate identity and how you impose it and why you impose it and why you are the way you are in the corporate space.
As I was saying about how I grew up and where I grew up, I went to a very English boys' college, where tie, shirt, number ones, that we call the full school uniform number ones. And I wore number ones for 5 years without fail. And the school was able to identify me in that. And I lost my own identity. I got to varsity, I started reading a lot. In fact, even in high school, I was an A student in history. And history for me got me to know about people like Robert Sebukwe, to look at Steve Biko in depth in life later when I got to understand about leaders like Thomas Sankara. And for me, then it's then to understand my own identity.
Yes.
Is the world gives you its own identity, right? It's who is Tumel.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm a township boy from Kwatwa, a township executive. And I was made to now dislocate from wearing an all-star because it is thuggery. If you wear jeans and if you wear dickies, in fact, that time, if you wear sporty. And I thought, you know what? But no, man. Why does a suit define what I do or who I am or how I can do it?
What does an attire help speak about
Exactly.
your skill set?
So I've met great people, great mentors who have led me to say, you are at your most beneficial to yourself when you are you.
Absolutely.
And you are comfortable in being you. So I'd been out of corporate for a while, and my return was, I'm going to go back as me.
Hizo the return, Baba!
I went as myself. I went as myself. And I mean, and let me tell you, it wasn't easy. It was hard. But I went as myself.
Yeah.
I remember the first day, I was thinking, should I not? No. But I said, I'm doing it. First day I walked up in jean All-Stars t-shirt and a nice Be Kind jacket. And I said, sporty. I said, guys, this is me.
Yeah.
And I've been me for a year now. I enjoy being myself.
But do you think that obviously for you to be at the level that you are, attending those meetings, it's easier for someone like you to get away with that, right? Some may perceive it.
Okay.
Some may perceive it. But then a new kid coming through I don't know say that so Joe.
This is
You know
my
what I mean?
identity.
Because
And I got that you are an intern. They're like, yeah.
even with me, like Tato just told, said I'm a director now.
Yeah.
Now I know I can rock up to the office like this. I know I can rock up. You know what I mean? He's got his own business. He's an entrepreneur. You know, you can do whatever you want when you are at a certain level. But is it what is it really? If you're doing that, and you're showing your identity, would you advise someone, a new kid on the block, a graduate program, so would you advise him, listen, be you?
No, let's leave the intern.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the kind of discussions I'm having currently with my son.
Yeah.
He's 11. And it's number one, you become you. That's one. Two, if anything, be black. That's number two. And if I knew what I knew then, I would have done this a long time ago.
No.
But because I was conforming to a certain image system that had been taught, for me, I would love my son today, up until he finishes, graduates, high school, goes to varsity, to be himself and to bring himself to work, because his dress code does not define what he can do.
Well, I want to agree, and it's a good point, Musa, that, would we advise? And I would always advise people, be yourself. Yeah. Identity is such an important thing, to the success of a human being, be it male or female, right? And I think also now, during this time, as parents, we are more freer now to communicate with our kids.
Sure.
And, even earlier, we were talking about creating safe space so that our kids can also feel comfortable to come and talk to us about the important things, like, hey, man, Dad, maybe All-Star. And, here's the other thing. All-Star DGC used to represent the Pantsula culture.
Sure.
The Pantsula culture, it was a culture. It was not about
Sure.
But, we knew that even in that era, those that even dress like that sometimes would be because of you'll be part of a gang. But that's not the point, Now, township boy, you are grasping, you are trying to like, hey, where do I fit in? And then you then get your opportunity to say, no, man, I want to identify with who I am.
Sure.
I also want to be able to represent what are in my thoughts. That they must measure me not on the way that I dress, but on the intellect that I carry. Sharp. Intellectuality, then you see the township. It's a whole market.
Sure.
And then they say it's a township economy.
Sure.
What is the first thing that goes through a mind like yours, with every experience that you've had looking at the township economy?
Okay, so I love reading, I love research, I love history.
Yeah.
That part we made it very clear.
Yeah.
Now, I look back, what did my mom send me to the stores to go buy often? And I remember oxtail soup. Oxtail soup.
Oxtail.
That one. That one. That's one. And over and above, she was branded. So if you come with the wrong brand,
it's a wrap.
That's
a wrap.
That was one, right? And then I said, and I'll come back to it. I figured, so, and what do we now eat now?
Yeah.
When now I've come out of Kasi and the highway, and I think I eat that other chicken brand.
Yeah.
So now I then went and said, how do I unpack that? I checked the guys that sell the soup brand. Actually, the biggest selling item in their store is oxtail soup, because let me give you this context. 25% of South Africa live on grants.
Yeah.
75.
5% of South Africa live on grants.
No, man.
I promise you, this is factually, it's empirical research. 25% of South African they live on grants.
What's the total value of grants? I think it was somewhere around 2 billion?
No, it's
much more than that.
Way more than that.
Much.
Hundreds of billions, Chief. It's way more than that. I mean, we can't get into the other political stuff. Wow.
Yeah, for sure.
But SASA is big business. Now, just look at that context. And now, with that context, you then go down to say the spend of the township economy. There's 2 layers. There's survivors, who are the ones on grants.
Yeah.
They spend 300 billion a year.
300 billion comes from the township economy.
From survivors.
From the grants.
Survivors. People that are surviving.
Survivors. And then there's the township economy. Then there's the next layer called informal
In the
economy.
informal sector, yeah.
They contribute 240 billion in spending.
Oh, okay. That's 540 billion. That's more than COVID relief fund.
540.
A year. And you tell me if this market, and we now come with funky English words and say the base of the pyramid. This is
The base of the pyramid.
this is the top of the pyramid.
I thought you said your English ran out.
No,
He was saving it for the show.
I was saving the show. I was saving. You know, and corporates and businesses see this as a base of the pyramid. Business schools teach you about the base of the pyramid.
Yeah.
To me, this is the core. If you aren't playing in this space, you are dead. And COVID will show you,
Yeah.
because Sentin will not sustain any business now.
Without the township.
If guys, if you go to townships, things are just moving.
Yeah.
There's still business. I mean, I was shocked. I had to do a traveling for my son schooling, and we passed a small town, and we saw a guy on a scooter, Mr. Deliverer, in a township, pivoting. Things are shifting, are changing. If you're not going to adapt to the ways of doing business in townships, you'll never survive.
So, but
You speak about adapt.
So, here's the thing about the township business. The township business is that township business people, they are not your ordinary entrepreneur. It's very hard to really penetrate them.
Sure.
If you're coming from outside. So, for instance, there have been some ideas that I've talked about with Tato, Tiro,
Sure.
The collective, where we're like, listen, how about we start a VC that particularly focuses on township
That's a great idea.
township businesses,
Sure.
right? And there was a voice in my head that said, no, but these guys don't, well, the way you understand business and agreements, they do not understand it like that.
I agree with you.
Yeah. There's other factors about conducting business, bukasi, that play a role or that have to be factorized, as opposed to someone coming to you with a startup, a guy called Kyle,
Sure.
who's giving you a PowerPoint presentation. So just those dynamics of maneuvering and trying to penetrate that market, because I'm pretty sure, like, in fact, I'm actively trying to invest in township businesses. But because of the nature of the business, it's not the same. Like, you can make them sign agreements. Like, I know we can sign agreements, ne? Mara, they're not used to that way of business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I want to jump up.
Okay, all right. I want to jump up. All right. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Because
maybe
you're
I don't
correct.
know.
You're correct. I was made aware of a system that I saw but didn't understand what I was. In fact, I was asked at some point, why do you think Zulu cultured people wear those colorful, those khaki pants and tops with colorful patches?
Yeah.
And another guys, just a Zulu traditional gear.
Yeah.
I was told, no, these used to be worn by taxi drivers. And each color used to represent a family. So you give a driver money here at MTN or Wanderers or Bri, who's going to Durban.
Yeah.
And your family is yellow. So he puts 250 in there to transport it from one spot to the next. And when he gets to Durban, then they know yellow, Kimlam. Bah.
Get out of here, man.
No contract. No contract.
Yeah.
No assessment of trust. Trust has been the only commodity as black people during apartheid we had.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
And they used it against us as part of the system because they were winning from it.
Exactly.
You know?
So now, if you go to townships now, if you miss the trust element, you've missed business.
Bona Bruaga, we will and it's important when is that how do you invest in the hood, right? And you spoke about systems. I go to business school, they'll call it systems thinking. I mean, I remember it was one of my modules there. Business school, yeah, systems thinking. I'm sitting there, I'm like, hey man,
You
we
educated
do this like
bastard.
every single day, man. You know, because of you just need to understand the system. I mean, having established Leaders in Motion Academy in the hood, one in Alex, one in Esteres.
Sure.
Business there is done differently.
It's done different.
Gents, it's a different ballgame, and we had to kind of like work around understanding how the hood itself was operating, right? Where you find out we spend probably over $1 million. Mona mokasi nyuko na security ke mo 7 dijo ke the guys ba di plama ke ba lo ba tsenyang di aircon, but they do it on time. Service delivery it's perfect. So I also want us to shy away from this thing. You can't rely on people from the hood.
No,
you can.
No.
You know, but there's
Those
that
are the
notion that
most
you can't rely
reliable.
on them. Those
are the
I'm
most
like,
reliable. Those are the most reliable businesses. So, in fact, people Bagokasi understood credit way before you'd even understand credit.
Yeah.
But it muso. Tsala wotlolo, wilolata kuku me ola. I already know who she's talking about.
Yeah.
Ko me ola, ota motoreta challenge.
Sure.
So we business is business, regardless of whether it's formal or informal.
Sure.
What makes it informal and formal is the technicalities.
Of course.
Yeah.
But business
This
is
whole
trade.
this whole
Yes, business is trade
Yeah.
for all intents and purposes. But
Yeah.
then when you're trying to expand it,
yeah.
unfortunately, the technicalities need to come in. You
Sure.
know, and especially when you're coming in and putting some money in.
Sure.
And for instance, let's look at the taxi business.
Yeah.
We are monopolized. We are a monopoly. That's the only truly black-owned industry.
Sure.
We are a monopoly. We're a monopoly there.
Sure.
We are a monopoly there. Né? and then you realize, Hore, how do we solve problems that we can't solve through chats? Wah.
Sure.
Né? That's dispute resolution.
Sure.
If we could have the formal, dispute resolution mechanisms instead of killing, because the killings in the taxi industry is not about the daman. It's commercial killing.
Sure.
It's commercial decisions.
Yeah.
Because there's no effective dispute resolution mechanisms.
And even in big global companies, it happens. The
Absolutely,
commercial killing.
but then the rate at which it happens in the taxi industry is extreme.
Let me give you stats.
Yeah.
Let me give you stats. I read, I think it was end of last year, 47% of assassinations in South Africa are taxi related.
I would like to know that 47%, gents, whenever someone gets killed, there's someone who's benefiting out of that death.
Yeah.
Now, there's a 3-minute long voice note.
3
right?
minutes.
3 minutes long.
Wow.
Right? It's going to touch on the issues.
Are you sure it's not a
of-
track?
No, dude. It's a track.
Nacho.
It's a track. It's a track on matters of gender-based violence.
Cool.
I know, because it speaks also to the economy, and we'll tie it back in.
Sure.
Because of the issue of economy, why are men so abusive?
Sure.
It connects
Sure.
to Tabaya Chelete.
Sure.
So let's listen in. Let's listen in very quick.
Hi guys, hi Conrad TV family. I'm Lena. I thank you guys so much for talking about gender-based violence and the atrocities that women have to face, that black people have to face in general. I wanted to talk about masculinity and femininity and how masculinity has to be redefined and what that looks like. It is men's job to redefine what masculinity looks like and how it portrays itself healthily in society. Just as women, we've had to fight for what femininity is and what it is not and what it looks like. And we've had to claw our way ourselves out of the box that is femininity and how women are said to behave in society. And now it is men's job to take that baton on and redefine what femininity looks like and what it means to be a man today, because this genocide that is happening against women and children is exhausting. It is a national crisis. We are actually at crisis. All the women I know, every single woman I know and have spoken to, can tell you of a situation where they have been sexually harassed or had a violent encounter with a male that they knew or did not know. The fact that as women, when I walk down the street, I have to calculate different ways to escape when I see a group of men. I have to feign interest for a stranger just because I'm not sure whether this man is going to kill me or not, for ignoring them, or for not giving them my number. I'm afraid at home, I'm afraid in the streets, I'm afraid at work, I'm afraid at school, I'm afraid in the police station. I am afraid everywhere and every day. And it is not women's jobs to teach men to be better. It is not women's jobs to do the labor to make you better human beings. We have to. Something has to give. Not enough marches, not enough speeches, not enough condemnation from the president will fix this. Actual laws and policies have to be put in place. An actual gender-based violence unit has to be formed. Like, extreme measures have to be taken the same way extreme measures were taken with the COVID-19. We have to treat it like a pandemic, because it is. I don't think men realize the severity of things. And yes, you guys might hear about the violent ones that happen and that trend, but it's the small microaggressions that happen at work and at school and in the languages that men use when describing women or talking to women or talking about women. It starts with the small habits that carry on in friendships, in relationships, at school, at work. We have to change the culture of how we speak about women, how we treat women, how we see women. A woman is not only important when she is related to you, or whether you can see her as your sister or your girlfriend or your mother. A woman is important because she is a person, period. Thank you.
Bars.
True.
Lena, before we respond to that, I just want to read just a couple of comments here from Instagram, right? We've got one from Sena HZ, who says the benefactors for taxi violence do not own taxis. They run large corporations who exploit the industry. From Ntefanke Are Khruta Daimane. Then we also have Mbuso Mlagi's respect, trust, and understanding are core values of Kasi business. And then we've got another message here says, for directors, like Tumelo, to advocate, for space for young black kids, to be able to come into the corporate culture and not feel like, there's not a safe space. But I just wanted to quickly touch on the GBV, and then we'll come back to the township economy conversation, which I think also itself is also quite related to the conversation, right? If you are able to set aside a budget of 500 billion, right, for a pandemic, it's killing people. Women are being killed, right? Is it something that maybe we would agree to say that we could set up a GBV, unit in the policing system that deals specifically?
It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So the problem in South Africa is not budgets; it's law enforcement. It's law enforcement.
Yeah.
So, I go with it, Joe. If I'm going to commit a crime, and I know that the likelihood is that I won't get caught. The likelihood of people committing crimes is higher. And that's why people will say, we need capital punishment, life sentence, death sentence. That won't help unless law enforcement is really, it's actually solid. It's not about budgets. It's about law enforcement. If ever I commit a crime, that's what you or just like, let's say, taxi driver, since we're talking about taxis. Honal convoy mo, honal traffic. I told ne ukono on the side of the road. At Samaeso. I feel roboto. I don't drop the passengers are high with no consequences. That is the earliest. That's where you see the problem in society. Whereas it says there's no accountability, there's no law enforcement. Because if there was law enforcement, it's not about the punishment or the consequences or the culpability or the sentencing. It's about, am I going to get caught and am I going to be held accountable?
But
And that's the problem with South Africa.
But you're absolutely right in that sense. But now you then go to government. What enforce about what's about? We don't have enough money to pay cops. We don't have, but blame our budget. So that's why they're saying we're not enforcing because of our budgets. Hadiyo. And you continuously see a lot of laws being broken. 40% of assassinations in the taxi industry. How many of these people get caught?
When they say
How
that,
many of these people get caught?
When they say that there's not enough budget or whatever, go slap a cop.
Yeah.
You will see how much budget there is and how much willpower there is.
Yeah.
To hold people accountable. The problem is this: is that Joe, flop is that there's no culture of being held accountable in our country. Unfortunately.
What are your views?
In my view,
Tate Chaka,
in my
on this
view
one?
is that COVID came, and there was huge efforts from government, something that I call political will,
Yeah.
to get things done.
Yes.
So, adding to Muso, the enforcement of the law is an issue of political will.
Aha.
So, because from the top, there's just talk and there's no political will to make this thing, to make it a priority for government.
Yeah.
Women are dying daily.
Yeah.
Every hour, women are being killed. What are we doing is talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Bring in political will to change, not to go for a march, to union building or a drive and hoot on the way. We need political will the same way as we did
Yeah,
with
COVID. And
In a
here's
short-
my thing.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. I also maybe, and not that I'm inciting violence or about as a country, hold them accountable. I agree we voted for them.
Sure.
Hold them accountable. Because of now, Batobana, you see, the young people, when there was access to education, they marched, dog. They marched. That's why I said the power that young people have.
Sure.
They marched by a union building.
Oh.
Khwanyewa. Khwanyewa. Fees must fall. Became a movement. Even some of these young kids who are arrested and intimidated by the law, right? You say, but these kids fought.
But
Some of them got
fees
arrested.
are still not free.
Fees are still not free because of what you see. This is now where we talk about that will. Against now. The law was available to punish these young kids.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we just need to
Look,
see something. Because right now America is up in flames because of Black Lives Matter. It's up in flames right now.
But I was asked a question before walking in here. We were up in arms as black men of South Africa about Black Lives Matters.
Yeah.
In the same context, we have our sisters, mothers, aunts being killed. But
And
we are
quiet.
silent.
We are quiet.
There's no knees going down anywhere. But if something happens in America, we are here about
It'll be easy.
we are changing profile pictures to come.
Our government is even hopping on to those movements.
Yeah, and saying Black Lives Matter.
And listen, Tato, I'm sorry if you're not going to get. I don't care about sponsors that are like, look, I'm sorry. These are real issues. Listen, the problem, here's another problem. Like political will, what he said. The political will is not there, dude. People are comfortable. They know that they'll be in office until Jesus comes back. People know.
Those were words said.
Yeah.
People know that they'll be in government until Jesus comes back. And people, we appreciate what they did and they sacrificed their youth. But because people sacrifice their youth, they feel that they are entitled to the resources of the country and everything. And that's where the problem arises, where people feel entitled. And there's a lot of sense of entitlement in our leadership. Too much sense of entitlement.
I want to ask now, we spoke about 540 billion that is in the township.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Do we now not talk about how do we then reinvest that money to change our circumstances? And I want to ask Tumelo because
I think you wanted to say something before.
Before I want to just exit by saying, when I say political will, it shows if a leader is caught on camera assaulting a lady in a club on camera, not that it is We are saying that
It is not hearsay.
There's no speculation.
We are
It's not
here writing
speculation.
There's no
statements
hearsay, she said.
Yeah.
because we saw on video,
Yeah.
and the same leadership that is aligned to him is not taking a stance or action.
Mama Tate.
It's a wrap.
Mama Tate, me bra. Mama Tate.
You have a big problem.
Accountable leadership seems not to be a thing here in South Africa. You know, we just tend to like deflect. Right, deflect ka bonako, and that is why we are seeing the social injustices that are happening currently in our country. But you see, I want to just go back, man. You know,
Sure.
in my optimistic view is that there's 540 billion. There's 540 billion,
Minimum, not
right?
even.
Minimum.
Yeah.
What do we need to do? Being in the space that you are in, you know, of investments, having also opened up business in the township, having also, you know, invested and created even things that speak to young people and also empowered young people. I want to talk about, man, the solutions. Now I'm going to get more solution because of what this cannot keep continuing because we don't understand that we've got the power.
Yeah. I don't know how allowed I am to discuss certain
You're allowed,
Please.
my brother.
specific
My brother,
arguments.
it's conversational
100%.
radio TV.
Okay. You know, I respect BB Kishan Kerry in Kwatro,
Yeah,
owned by Ntate Tommy Mahato.
yeah.
And I think now his son, Chava Mahato, is at the helm running it. And me and Chava had a conversation recently. ShopRite is building tuck shops
Yeah?
in the townships.
15,000.
Yeah. Pick and Pay is doing the
Pick
same
and Pay
thing.
is doing that as well.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
Shaba said to me, we can't allow these guys to be doing this thing. BB is doing this thing. And you go on to Kwatro, reads, they've got their own BB container tuck shops
Yeah.
where they are empowering black people who run these smaller shops
Yeah.
to get economies of scale in buying products to get them cheaper than go get them expensive and price them expensively, pricing themselves out of the market.
And it takes 60 days for them to deliver. Stop.
Absolutely.
Le go patala.
Doing accounting, you are taught that in working capital, you need to collect quicker
Yeah.
and pay later. And it's called doing a pick and pay on someone.
Yeah.
That's what is termed in accounting qualification. You must do a pick and pay on someone.
Yeah.
So always pick and pay will gain, but you as a buyer who runs a tuck shop in the township, you getting money late, but you're paying pick and pay sooner.
Yeah.
They turning their money through
Yeah.
investments. BB is doing this for black people in Kwatro and around to where they are busy working at. I read an article yesterday that in the 2017, 2018 or 2018, 2019, the same outlet made millions of rands
Yeah.
in the black communities. So this thing is possible.
So our means of resources, right? Because I get like the land.
Yeah,
How na le lefatshe? That's where you grow stuff.
sure.
Right? O kgona hore o nne le dikgomo, o kgona hore o nne le chicken. And you would find that if then communities maybe were to come together and say, hey man, municipality re nyaka lefatshe le jo, you know, so that we are able to grow, re nne le dikgomo, re nne le eng, so that we can also supply to the BBs.
Sure.
Right? So then we then create a supply chain. You know, but those conversations aren't happening. And I don't blame also some of our business people, Kokasi, because they don't have the wealth of information that we would have access to.
Sure.
I'm asking is there then a way for us to funnel down this information so that people then know how to build their own systems, right? Understanding the social challenges.
So wait, I'm sorry, nah. I'm
Yeah.
going to answer your question with a question.
Okay.
Right, with a question to you. So, my question is this, and it kind of answers Tato's
Okay.
question, is that at the last analysis, many of us could have done what Pick and Pay is doing, or what ShopRite is doing,
Yeah.
or what these other
Yeah.
people are doing. We have a tendency not to believe in our own people
Sure.
as black people. That's one thing that colonialism, apartheid, and all that shit has managed to achieve, for us to hate ourselves and not believe
It's called media, man.
in the next black man. Yes, it's
Yeah.
Sure.
we get conditioned through media. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. So what I'm thinking is this: is that it's easier for a Pick and Pay to come into our townships, but at the picture, Susie's, Masu's, and tuck shop, blah 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 blah. Nah? But at the last analysis, like, let's not even play around anymore. There's a lot of successful black people. Many. There's enough successful black people to change the economy around without relying on white people.
But where are they?
I'm like, so exactly.
Where
So-
are they?
Exactly. So I'm tired of this chat. No, white people are sitting on money.
Yeah.
Yes, they are sitting on money, but there's enough black people today for black communities to come up and for us to empower black communities. But why is that not happening?
The problem is, as black people, when we achieve, we think that we've now exited the suffering zone. So going back, and this is what, for me personally, I've tried to do is, once you're out of, I almost said that, but once you're out of the cack, just go back and take others out.
Yeah.
Because you feel like now you've made it, and there's, having gone to these nice schools early, there was this syndrome of the first black.
First black syndrome.
By the way,
First
it was perpetuated through
Only
media.
black
by the
syndrome
way,
or
guys.
first black
Yeah,
syndrome?
only,
No, it's
only first.
Bon, I want to go back. It's perpetuated very, very silently through media.
Yeah. And therefore, we are still on, each one wants to be the only
one.
the first,
They feel special.
because you feel special. Whilst Pete, Sunet, and Peter, guys, a friend of mine said to me, in Namibia, if you see a white man begging at the corner road, a white man or white woman will take him, in fact, he said a white man will take him, give him 2 cows and a sheep to farm. Because a white man can't beg.
You see, here's the thing. It's a culture that we build, and I think it's a culture that we also need to now start taking responsibility on, because of from Kasiri, then we merge,
Yeah.
we merge, community, which
Sure.
which are the rainbow communities.
Sure.
There's nothing also wrong with merging with other cultures, because of globally, if you're a global entrepreneur, you need to engage with different cultures. Yet, it's not only even in the white cultures, in the Jews, the Indian culture, the Muslim culture, even Nigerians do it. Here in Africa.
Sure.
A fellow Ghanaian will meet a Ghanaian here in South Africa. They will bond, they will work
The vendors
together.
also do that.
Sure.
The
actually.
vendors also
Yeah,
do that.
the
So even
vendors do that.
just to bring it home. So now, then my question that, is it a culture thing? Is it a race thing? What is it? Because of, now in my experiences, how Yako Bukoni Upirem, just here, Northwest. Doomsa, we can come with any idea. They will shut it down because of Umotswana Tswango Mafike.
Yeah.
Umotswana Tswango Raste.
Yeah.
They won't. But it Doomsa Tlayo from what we can partner.
Same.
Right?
Same.
Is it the same?
Ovitla. Utle Free State. Boom. I'll take ka GP in our plate. Asham Free State. Baga. No. Tabagie. Tabagie. I have a guy who went home with a concept.
Yeah.
By Beta. A guy came ka GP in our plate. That concept, in fact, was part of the biggest corruption activity and biggest fund corruption issue in the Free State.
But that's a man.
So-
I remember there's 2 concepts that we have started. One was called Motswako Fest. I'm not even shy to talk about it.
Sure.
Yeah. Not all.
A year later, there's a concept called Mahika Mahike. Then they just took the concept, they changed by Bita Motswako Festival. Right? Big tender.
Sure.
Then there's another one here, chairs. Same thing. Now, the tenderpreneur market, it's its own market.
Right.
That's why
Hey,
I want to keep
Chief.
coming
Sure.
back
A very,
to what
very
you speak
organized
about.
one.
It's a very organized one. But
Sure.
the solution, and I want, if there's someone who is listening to the show right now who's an entrepreneur or who is just, I've got an idea. And then now they hear there's 540 billion. That I don't have to go and steal. I don't need to lift a
Yeah.
gun. Right? Ke batla gore mona di mano o mo advise. What are some of the steps that you can take? Right? To now maybe start your own little talk show. Because of also there's this thing of, being very instant. I want things to happen
Yeah.
now. For a young businessman to understand, it takes time.
Sure.
And don't think if Muso made it in a year, you are going to make it in a year. It might take you 5 years to make it.
Okay, let me first say this, because then I become true to myself. Tenderpreneurs are also businessmen and women.
Yes.
Yeah.
They found a way to do business
Yes.
with government,
Yes.
which is complex.
Yes.
Hey,
I can tell you, it's not an easy thing to master.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I respect those who have understood and crafted the art of doing business with government.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, we go back to your 540 billion sitting in the townships.
Yeah.
For me, it's there's a new way now where big businesses, and the bank that I work for is one of those. It's partnering with people who understand the township economy
Yes.
better than we do,
Okay.
to go in on a co-creation, co-locating mission and solution this
It's
market.
like collaboration all around.
All right. All right.
But-
So
understand?
is it specific to a sector or like any solution that can make profit?
Any solution
Let's go.
that can make profit. Let's pick one.
Yeah.
How would a business in the township assist a bank to capture the Stockfell market
Kind of that's a 90 billion rand industry
annually?
annual.
Is it not 300?
No, it's he's correct. It's about 50 to 90 annually.
Yeah.
That is put there in December. Yeah, that's what goes out.
Guess what, guy?
So-
Yilo rega the oxtail soup.
Exactly.
Yilo rega one thalwa.
Exactly. So, but then, look. Before we run out of time, now this is what I want to know from you: is that being the person, like you're in an industry that you're in, and one thing I know is that you believe in the development of township businesses, black
Sure.
businesses. To a point where as you believe in your own identity, which
Sure.
means that you believe in your own people.
Sure.
What do you have to say to professionals like myself, né?
Sure.
Who have people like yourself working in big banks or big, huge companies, yet the biggest business or the biggest patronage, and now I'm not talking about when you are actually conducting your own business and investing. I'm talking about when you're procuring services
Yeah.
for your own business, like legal services,
Yeah.
since I'm in the legal services. Yet you're still procuring legal services from white firms, predominantly, and we have people like you in there. What hope do I have? What hope do I have in you, if that's the case?
Muso, I'm very grateful that the people that my God and my ancestors have placed in my life to guide me are people that do this which I'm gonna convey to you now.
Yeah.
The one man I respect highly who mentors me currently said in his business, and he's a big shot in that business. It's a global business. He said, as an agency, if you walk in to do something for him, there's a few ticks that he wants. Where are the women? Or where is the voice of the females in
your
this
In the
agency
business,
team that's coming to me? And where are the black people in your team? That he will not send you to go do a job for him in Mafikeng, and you bring a team of white people with one person who's black who's going to do everything and make everyone else look good. I live with a similar mindset. Is if I'm gonna do business with the township, I need people who understand the township.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna pay you research to go tell me what you have Googled. I want people I want guys who understand, or people who
Who
understand
know what's going on?
the crux of what's happening
Touch, feel.
exactly in that business. So if I have to procure, you best believe I want people who will understand what I want.
Here's a question that got like about Musho, right? And I remember I was actually asking because I think sometimes we have the wrong conversation. Sometimes, not always. If you build your business today, black-owned business, and now tomorrow, 70 white kids come to you and say that we want space in your business, are you going to give them an opportunity?
Wait.
And I'll give context why I'm asking, because of my question is, when people have built for themselves, right, do they have a responsibility? Is it their it's a question I'm asking. I'm not saying it must be so. Is it their responsibility to empower black people?
It's look, so
Knowing that there's 540 billion. I still want to go back to that.
So here's my thinking. My thinking is this: is that nobody has a responsibility to make sure that you're okay or not. Right?
Yeah.
But if ever there's a government in place, a government that's presiding over a society that has been, what did you like? I mean,
But the government, we've seen what
like,
they're capable
what
of.
I'm saying, like,
We've
what I'm saying
seen
is
what they're
let
capable of.
me help Musi. Musi is from Muso, right?
Yeah.
Muso is from Mamelodi. Kasi cycles.
why
is
we
like
don't want to
Mamelodi.
live it like a
No, 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 no.
Musi, my money.
and he knows me very well.
You fine, chiboy. You fine, chiboy. You fine, chiboy. But Muso, Kasi cycles. It's like Mamelodi.
Yeah, I'm from Moms.
But there's a business called Kasi Cycles in Mamelodi. The guy selling bikes, right?
Yeah.
I could have gone to Solomon's and buy the same bike because probably this guy gets it there.
Yeah.
I drove to Mamelodi to go buy that bike from that guy who bought it from Solomon's. I don't care what additions or margins is put there. Is I'm supporting a black business. Political will, chief. Political will.
So where's the political will in
Political
this?
will is that
Corporate.
I could have gone.
Hey, man.
I could have gone across the road, right? But here's a guy who says to me, dude, I'm selling bikes. I'm a guy in the township. I'm like, in fact, I'll buy a bike from you.
So my thing is that it's not about you. We're not going to teach you. This is what you live by.
Muso.
This is your Bible. Like,
Muso.
It is
no,
political
Muso.
will.
no, but
Muso.
what I'm saying is that look, it's not towards you. I know your work. I know who you support. I know who you procure your services from. It's not about you. It's about what hope do we have? Because not everybody is like you in corporate. People act like they are like you, but they are not. You know what I mean? What hope is there?
Well, I wanna just quickly, Muso, you are absolutely right, and that's why I get it. Now I just wanna put it differently. Or I'm me. Yes, it's an expectation that we want to have. It's the right thing to do, right? But if it's about survival, because I was speaking to an African student of mine, he said, "Hey man, it's about my survival and the survival of my people and my family. Are you expecting me, right, to now cancel my son? I'm building this for my family." Now then somebody says, "Hey man, we've got political will, therefore remove 80% of your family and then just put, 80% of black people." I'm just saying, why can't we build our own businesses and then we collaborate?
Because most of these businesses have been built by us.
Without
Without us having a proprietary interest or pecuniary
Sure.
interest.
Sekgowa
We have built those businesses. No, we built those businesses.
Yeah.
So my thinking is that for as long as in the apartheid days your business did business with the apartheid state,
Yeah.
it is you have a duty. You have a duty to correct those wrongs.
Mara,
Comrade,
but why political will? Hi.
Hey.
no,
Hey.
but that's what we spoke
Hey.
about.
That's why. No, but
yes.
that's why, Niger. For me, it's not. Dude, it's easier to go to Solomon's shortcut. It's closer to my house.
Yeah.
But it is political will to say I'm going to Mamelodi to Kasi Cycles to procure the same bike that I saw at Solomon's with probably maybe 1.2 margins on this guy. But to back him up says to me that let's all back him up so that he can open his own Solomon's.
Exactly. So that means we need to be as conscious as you are. Because you're wearing a top that says Lesotho.
Yeah.
That thesis brand is probably owned by a black person. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we need to be. That's the only way to answer your question, Tato.
Yeah.
That we need to be conscious enough. I'm wearing Guess. I don't know who the fuck started this shit. You know. I'm wearing some French watch. I don't know who the
Political
fuck started
way.
this. So
You
we
can
need
even
to
check
be
individual
let me
will.
ask. Kimwe.
Muetlo.
Yeah.
So that means that
Political way.
exactly. So we need to be.
Let's change shit. Man.
We need to be very intentional, and I know you love being intentional, and I'm gonna hold you accountable from today on. I'm gonna hold you accountable from today on. Let's make sure that. But I'm wearing fucking Air Forces, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I think he gave us the easiest or
Can we even
the
say
most practical.
my shoes
Nazo.
are made by a Kasi guy called Jeff Touch.
What's the name of his business?
On Instagram, his name is Touch.
Touch.
Yeah.
So Rona Respenda, we use our data wrong. Right? You've got Instagram, you could have searched to find out where and who's selling. We've got Bobatu.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
So
other
we need-
businesses.
So let's do this challenge for me and you. From now on, the shows going forward, we're only wearing local brands.
Let's do this. Let's actually, if on Instagram right now, any other local business that does the poti, the
Yeah,
Ipa,
the
the Ntwena,
Agodi, bucket
I
hat,
urge you guys to go and actually
We're
just
gonna
send
buy
us
from
your
you.
DMs and then we'll
Yeah,
buy from
we'll
you
buy
guys.
from you. Let's
You know,
do
so that we support, right?
Let's do that.
And you know what, Mr. Chaka, thank you very much for coming. You know, hey man, this time just like flies, and then you realize, you know, you haven't really touched on a lot of things that we want to touch on. 5 years time, what is the things that you want to see having happened here in this economy, South Africa?
5 years' time, I want to see Sandton looking different.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Sandton demographics looking different.
Mm.
1. 2, I want to see the regional areas that we see as small towns being the hub. Because 75% of the people that are spending are sitting in those small areas.
Yeah.
Earlier on, I mentioned the chicken store outlet.
Yeah.
That an outlet in Sandton makes about 850k, if not 750k a month.
Mm-hmm.
In Venda, on the 15th, 25th, 30th, 3 days they make 1.4 million of chicken that are bought in 3 days, which means we have the propensity to buy, to support our own people. Let's make our regional areas, those old Bantustan, let's make them hubs of economic being. Let's make businesses there thrive. That I don't have to come to Sandton to buy something here that I can buy there.
Bona, we're about to wrap it up. Collaboration, support, understanding markets, being patient with yourself,
And
loving
believing
your,
in our
and
goddamn
believe,
selves,
Bona,
guys.
believe in your own, you know. And it's also important to say, if someone is not skilled at something, it's okay to go to someone who's skilled, and doesn't matter the race, right? Because hear
I
me?
don't agree with
No, hear me, Musu. If I haven't been an engineer, I can't just come to you because of now it's your
No,
first
but
year
what I'm saying is
in
that if
engineering,
there's
and I'm going to
somebody
invest
who
100
doesn't-
million
who
rand.
doesn't have those expertise,
Hear me.
just because they
Whoa,
don't have those
Muso,
expertise doesn't mean
Muso,
there's not
Muso,
another person
Muso,
of
hear
that
me,
particular
hear me,
race who've
hear
got
me,
the
hear me.
expertise.
If I don't remember, sometimes in business it's about the timing.
Yeah.
If I need this thing to be done at a specific, it has to be done at this specific time. But I'm saying, don't hold it against.
Yeah. And that's why we
Muso.
have Mark. That's why we have Mark.
Oh yes, guys.
That's why we have Mark.
We've got
right
Mark
man.
here, you know.
No,
so
I
that
agree with
also,
you to that extent.
yes, you know, because of I also don't want us to perpetuate hate.
No, we
No,
don't.
against,
no,
right?
do that.
no,
No.
I also
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
promote the spirit of collaboration.
Absolutely.
The spirit of collaboration is always important because of that's how we get ahead. But if we have an opportunity, let's wrap it up. It's 6 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen.
Producer's killing
Zina's
us.
giving
Bye,
is
guys.
giving me the look.
Sorry. Bye, producer.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for everybody that joined here on Instagram. We out.
It's Conrad TV, no hearsay. Hey, 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 hey. One thing is certain, it's gonna be crazy, yo.
Conversational Radio TV, just different.
Hey, hey.